Okay, so um, on this one, it does show it shows the Mars on the printout we're using with the transits, Saturn and out, like the year graph, but this is the transits across lifetime. Then the progressed planets, it does put in the Mars and the Pluto. It flows the Mars aspects, Mars conjuncting the Moon or squaring the Moon, and it shows you the Mars squaring Neptune. So I would normally, whenever I work with these, I would just adjust it and I would go in and highlight this. So that's there. And the other one, I already did, yeah. So this shows it, and it shows it playing out across against the background of the transit. So this is in place of our 8-year graph, and it just gives the printouts, and you get this printout for a whole lifetime, so you can go into the years you want. So that's useful. There's still some things it leaves out. It doesn't put the progressed ascendant in, or when it changes signs or anything like that. So you're missing. There are things that you still miss out of this. So here the aspect where the progressed ascendant in 2006 opposed the Sun. Opposed the natal Sun, 2006. The progressions are second column, it doesn't have it. At the same time as the progressed ascendant was opposing the Sun, Pluto was conjuncting her ascendant, the natal ascendant. So there were confrontations, and this. So there's a play there of things that were going on. This is part of the confrontation of the marriage not being connected, being in something that's dead-ended, trying not to destroy it, just let it be, whatever, and it's intolerable. But there it is. So the you're seeing some of the complexes play out through this. By 2008, that progressed ascendant squares Mars. She's starting to get angry around things or frustrated around things, and then it conjuncts to Venus in 2008. Still, she's feeling benevolent and carrying it, but these progressed angle aspects aren't shown in these progressed to natal planets. So that's, you're missing something. So even though I use this report, I don't use it exclusively. I use the report because it has the outer planet transits. It does too many, like Neptune to square Neptune or Saturn square Neptune. I would not. I just go through and highlight Saturn, the conjunction squares and oppositions. Saturn to the Moon, Saturn to the inner planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto to the inner planets. I put them in, but I don't. I leave out the others. But the progressions, that movement of the angles is important, and they don't have the angles when they're making aspects to chart. Of course, that's depending on an accurate birth time, which may be why they left it out. So 2008, you had the progressed Sun coming up to Venus. Put this on a little bit here, okay, and it's got all this information. We're just trying to work it out. By 2009, there's an understand. Like I got to understand what am I doing. Like she may have just when she maybe made the decision to have to get the place or had to start rethinking. There's the progressed Mercury conjuncting Pluto in 2009. So that would be showing on this other chart. But I like these pins, so I like to mark them out because it gives exact date. You just slow it down, you walk through it and see what's going on. So by doing 20 years back, it's a much longer scan. It's a bit more work to do, but I just wanted to do this to show it. Then by 2010, midheaven's on the Neptune, conjunct Neptune. So the Neptune squaring her moon. So she's still, I'm working, I'm carrying all the debt and the mortgage and stuff, and he's backing off from it. By 2012, Jupiter squaring the Neptune. We're trying to understand the confusion. 2012, Mercury squaring the ascendant. Still confusions around relationships. Then we get in. These I usually print them as PDF files, so they were running flow, but I made them as JPEGs, so I have the pictures to show you. Then in 2015, Venus went into Leo. Mercury went into Libra. Still thinking about partnerships. Who's paying? It's like Venus retrograde out of Virgo into Leo in the 8th house. And then by 2017, the ascendant, progressed ascendant is opposing Jupiter from the beginning of the year. This was the whole difficult aspects by transits. It was the Neptune factors, the confusion, and she was just having to rethink things. So at the same time, the progressed ascendant was squaring a Jupiter, so she had an inner identity about what's right, what's wrong about relationships. She had this having to understand. Now this progressed aspect is giving the exact aspect. It's going on for a year before this, a year after, 2016 to 2018. The whole time where she began to study astrology to get something for herself. Then by 2018, they thought the progressed sun was up to the conjunct to Mars. So really from 2017 at the same time as Uranus, as the Senate was opposing Jupiter, the progressed sun was already in the orb and moving closer to conjunct to Pluto. So in this time period, by 2018, the house was, he bought out the house, she'd forced the issue, she's on her own. This has been played out to force the issue. Then the progressed Uranus squares the ascendant. Wow, this is a big one. It's not going to be put on here. Let's just go up here. She has Uranus, 2018, she has Uranus squaring her sun and opposing Mars, but it doesn't show you that this is going on with the ascendant. And that is going on with the progressed Uranus progression. It means in her natal chart, we'll just get here. That means in her natal chart, her Uranus is at 21, her ascendant's at 24. So there's a square inherent in the ascendant. We don't draw in this the aspects, the angles, so we get the pattern type. But she has her ascendant square the Pluto, and Uranus. But the Uranus squares at 21 degrees to 24, 3 degrees apart. So it took her all her life, this square of Uranus was slowly moving forward, getting closer and closer to the exact square of the ascendant. So the unstable relationship, disruptions of the relationship, the change in countries, who one's meeting, what's happening, this was unstable and increasingly unstable up to the peak. It reached its peak 2018, September 6th. It's still going to be really critical there. She's still going to be sensitive on this issue, and relationships are still going to be somewhat unstable for a time. And to some degree, all her life, it's not fitting into a norm. But that was the final release point. So you can certainly see this is the point of leaving go of the whole marriage, the whole things, getting one's finest and starting over again. A little battle shy around relationships. And if she rushes into another relationship, you can almost see, well, she's not far enough away to get exactly stable yet. So then it progressed midheaven, moved into Sagittarius. It moved 2019, it progressed midheaven, progressed midheaven and moved up to go into Sagittarius. Okay, and just that puts an accentuation on understanding in Jupiter. This is all the time of completing astrology studies. Right now in a month, progressed Mars goes into her 12th house. Progressed Mars moved ahead, goes into the 12th house. So as it goes into the 12th house, if she's angry or mad, that gets more isolating. But if she learns to transcend the anger and let go, and she starts putting her energy more spiritual or more dedicated causes, that Mars can be positive moving through the 12th house. But it still implies a shadow around trusting guys, around sexuality and stuff like that going through this. But these orange ones, I marked the orange because they're not going to be in the printouts, and they're things you'd have to add to it. So the printouts are well organized, so it's worth printing this out and then writing them in on it if you're going to work it at the beginning. But if you're doing the graphs, you got the age of graph, the sun graph, and you draw the graphs for the progressed sun, the progressed planets. This is giving you something for 5-10 years to see the critical things that happen. And you look back and say, wow, that was just great. I just followed those patterns exactly, her inner shifts. So it's often said that the progressions come up and happen, and they wait till the transits, till a similar transit aspect comes up or something hits, same thing, and then it all gets put out on the transit. It looks like the transit's doing it, but it actually starts from the progressions. So she has Uranus square her ascendant from the beginning of her life, and it'll still be square by the end of her life. Might be coming out of the degree of it, but it's going to be a while out of the exact degree. So now in 2021, this is where she is now. We're right at this Mars, not quite yet, about to go into the 12th house, just as she finishes her astrology. She wants to start to work at the astrology. And she wants to set it up, but she still has breakthroughs. Like 2021, her progressed sun conjunct Uranus. This is the lighting up of her philosophy. So it's finished with the Pluto conjunct Uranus, and she's seeing how she can use the astrology. Her Mercury's coming up to the midheaven within a year of that. This is really positive, her soul is really inwardly connecting to making things happen, to breaking through, to doing something different, to setting it up different and getting accomplished. And so this is a really good incentive. This is what I see. She's going to set herself up. She's going to have the super website. She's going to have a book or a video or something, and she's going to get recognition for what she's doing. So her inner support of how she's thinking has become strong and blossomed through the difficulties she's had in her life. Okay. Then 23.3 equals Saturn, Moon, the ascendant conjuncts the Moon. 2024 ascendant conjunction squares the Neptune. So there's stuff with relation. Going ahead, you can't be so sure what it is. By 2027, when Venus is going direct, the Saturn, her progressed Saturn, this is really interesting. Her progressed Saturn opposes the MC or conjuncts the IC. So this is a really important story. This is the whole theme through her life. She starts with Saturn at 12 degrees, and the IC is at 9:55. It's just in the 4th house. But there's the sun up there. Saturn's further away from it. Saturn's retrograde. So Saturn goes retrograde, and it's been retrograde all her life, backing up. It's moving a lot. It actually now, in 2027, it gets exactly to be on the IC. So our motivation about father, about accomplishing something, about the depth of commitment, about inhibition, about controlling things, about not controlling things, about what's security, what's not, that's building up to a deep, deep point, a very profound point in 2027. Now, this is a point, this is the long-term pressure. You have to see it as a theme across a lifetime. And that theme could lead to a deep motivation, making a more spiritual commitment, or deciding I'm going to be more dedicated, or I'm going to live here. By that time, like this issue, I don't fit here, don't fit here, I got to run from it, that Saturn, the stop-start is still going on. But in 2027, it reaches its peak. Saturn goes right back, and it's exactly right on this. And it's a karmic thing because it's going back before where it started from in your lifetime. It's going back from other lifetimes. What you did is coming back. It starts to affect your personal motivation and your deepest point in your chart. So I don't know what that'd be. It's possible. What if Dad died, or what if something happened? Like, it's going to be tied to other events, but this is going to happen inwardly, and then the Saturn transits at those times. Let's see, 2027, where's Saturn? 2027, Saturn's on the IC. So Saturn comes back and conjuncts the IC, and it just as the progressed Saturn is exactly conjunct the IC. That's going to be a very powerful new motivation. Where do I live? What do I want to do? That's a very deep, profound point. It's something you're going to think about for years. But it's not unmeaningful, and it's not normally included in the progress things, but this point where progressions can move a little tighter, a little looser, move into each other and become more tighter is so significant in a chart. It explains the big phases, the big complexes that last over long periods of time. Okay, so we're just going ahead a little bit here. In 2020, February, her progress, this is, okay, then I did the progress to progressed. This was the progress to the natal. Progress chart, how they affect your natal chart and your personal chart. So that's very vivid and very clear. When we go to the progress to progress, we're watching the moon phases and aspects that happen between the moon and the sun. So the sun conjuncts Pluto in the progress chart to progress chart in 2020, February 23rd. Okay, but the progressed sun conjuncted Pluto in the progressed to natal chart on 2018, May 17th. So 2018, May 17th, the progressed sun conjuncted the natal Pluto. But over this time in her life, the progressed Pluto has been inching forward, inching along, and then moving away from that. So from the time it hits the conjunction to the natal Pluto, it's going to keep going, and there's still things associated with it until the progressed sun moves up to the progressed Pluto, which is 2020. So there's a 2-year crisis there. It starts with the one and it's not completed till the other. And even you can allow a degree on either side of it. So it's like a whole phase. But there is this thing between with the other planets. As they're inching along, the progressions to them can be a few years different from the beginning to the end of a complex.